What is the first thing that Christians disagreed on? Can you say it loudly?
Trinity.
The Trinity? No, absolutely not. Because the Trinity never even began to appear for a long time. The Trinity took over almost 400 years to develop in Christianity. Almost 400 years. The Trinity goes through 5 historical stages. And in the beginning, they're not talking about Trinity. They're talking about the divinity of the Son. And they're talking about the Logos, the Word, whether it's divine or not, whether it's with God or not with God, what that means. So Trinity, no. The Christians insisted on the oneness of God. Yes, that they did. That wasn't an issue. What is the first thing the Christians disagreed on? Resurrection of the dead? No. They believed in that. Later on, when dualism comes into Christianity, and dualism is what wrecks the boat. Dualism wrecks the boat. That brings in the divinity of the Son and then the Trinity.
Dietary prohibitions?
Sorry?
Dietary prohibitions, whether they had to follow kosher.
Well, that's a very good point. That's a very good point. But that's probably not the first thing. Probably not. That's a very good point. And that's an early disagreement, definitely. But Jerome says the blood of Christ had not dried in the earth of Judea, meaning Jerusalem, but that there were those who said, it is not him. It is one who looks like him. So the crucifixion of the crucified man has not even finished. The blood is still coming down from the body into the sand under the cross, and people are saying, that's not Jesus Christ. That's somebody who looks like him. It's not him. That's the first. If that's not the first disagreement, it's certainly one of the very first. That's very important. Early Christians disagreed fundamentally about whether Christ was crucified or not. And many Christians of the first and second centuries, and that can go on maybe into the third, but especially the first and second centuries, they said Jesus Christ was not crucified. It was made to appear that he was. And that teaching is called the docetic teaching, D-O-C-E-T-I-C, from the Greek word dokein, which means to appear, which means exactly like the Quranic word shubbiha. وَلَكِنْ شُبِّهَ لَهُمْ. It was made so to appear. And the way you would translate that in Greek is dokein. That's a docetic teaching. And again, the Christians try to cover their tracks. So if you go to the internet and look at docetic, they're going to tell you some things that, like, don't take this seriously. This wasn't a big difference. If you want to look at a good article on docetic belief, then go back to the early 20th century and you can look at the Encyclopedia of Religion and Ethics, which is a great work that was done by Western scholars at the end of the 19th century and the early 20th century. It's really a beautiful work, and it reflects the great harmony of German, French, English scholarship at the end of the 19th century, before the World War. The World War was terrible. World War I was horrible. And then after that came the great nightmare of World War II. I don't know if you can imagine what World War II was like. You know, I know people who were in World War II. I know people who were on both sides. I had a father-in-law who was in the Wehrmacht. He was in the German army. He was forced into the German army when he was 16 years old. He was a Polish German, Volksdeutsch. And he didn't want to go in the German army. He didn't even like the Germans. But he's an ethnic German. And he went through the whole war on the Russian front. And he told me lots of stories about it. It had a huge effect on me. I know other people that were on the other side, you know, such as relatives in my own family. But World War II was hell. But when you go back to this Encyclopedia of Religion and Ethics, you know, that's a really, really good work. And it still reflects the harmony that was between the German humanistic establishment. The Germans were the most humanistic people in Europe. That's why Toynbee says the appearance of fascism in Germany shows the failure of humanism in the West. That if humanism couldn't hold the Germans, then it can't hold back anybody. They weren't natural fascists. They were humanists. But in any case, look in there at Docetism. Docetism, and that's a really good article. And they'll show you that Docetism was not the belief of any sect. Whereas the internet now, they say, oh yeah, this was a Gnostic belief. No, it wasn't. All Gnostics were Docetics, it's true. But the Gnostics are also the first, one of the oldest Christian teachings. Okay, but Docetism was a common teaching, and they believed that Jesus wasn't crucified. Now, does that make sense or not? Yes, because if Jesus, the son of Mary, is the Messiah, he cannot be crucified. And if he is crucified, it means he's not Christ. And that's why Paul will say, who believed in the crucifixion, that the crucifixion is a great scandal. Scandalon, which means stumbling block in Greek, because it basically means he's not Christ. That's what it means to the children of Israel. He's not Christ. So this is really, really important. They disagreed about that. And this is why our teaching, which establishes that Jesus was not crucified, it's an ancient Christian teaching. And it also is a teaching that is theologically consistent with the view that Jesus was the Messiah. The Messiah cannot be crucified. But in any case, let's go on. So now he comes to verse number 12. وَيَغْفِرُ الذَّنْبَ سِوَى الشِّرْكِ لِمَنْ يَشَاءُ وَالتَّوْبَةُ فَرْدٌ فَلْزَمًا. Really beautiful. He forgives every sin other than shirk. And it's hard to translate shirk, isn't it? You know, it's hard to translate shirk in a way that makes sense to the West. You know, polytheism is too narrow. Association, something's a little bit too broad, but shirk. So Allah forgives every sin other than shirk. May Allah preserve us from that. For whomever He wills. And repentance is an obligation. So cling to it firmly. Really beautiful. Okay, why is this about what is possible for God? God forgives every sin, any sin He wills, other than shirk. Why is this about what is possible regarding God? Well, again, you're going to have controversy.